You can read the room instantly. You notice the shift in tone before anyone speaks. You sense what people feel, even when they don't say it, and yet you often feel alone. Not because you lack people, but because no one seems to see you the way you see them. This loneliness doesn't come from emptiness. It comes from awareness. And there's a psychological reason for that, one most people never talk about. Problem deep dive, you're usually the listener, the emotional translator, the one who understands why someone snapped, withdrew, or went quiet. So you soften your words, you give others space. You choose harmony over honesty without even realizing it. Over time, something subtle happens. You stop fully expressing yourself. Not because you're afraid, but because you already know how it will land. You predict reactions. You anticipate misunderstandings. You pre-edit your emotions before they leave your mouth. Psychologically, this creates a split. Outwardly, you're calm, composed, easy to talk to. Internally, you're carrying unshared complexity. This affects identity. You start asking yourself quiet questions. Why do I feel unseen even when I'm surrounded? Why do conversations feel shallow even when they're kind? This isn't social anxiety. It isn't introversion alone. It's a pattern linked to high emotional intelligence, and it slowly teaches your brain that connection requires self-containment. But that's not the full story yet. Here's the reframe most people never hear. You are not lonely because something is missing in you. You're lonely because something is overdeveloped. Your emotional intelligence evolved as an adaptation, often early in life. Children who grow up needing to read emotional environments, to stay safe, to stay connected, develop advanced social awareness. Your brain learned, if I understand others, I belong. That skill worked. It kept relationships stable. It reduced conflict. But adaptations don't disappear when the environment changes. They persist. And sometimes they create distance where closeness is possible. This loneliness isn't a flaw. It's the shadow side of emotional attunement. The question isn't, what's wrong with you? The real question is, how does this pattern actually work in the brain? Let's slow this down. Emotional intelligence relies heavily on the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for prediction, regulation, and perspective taking. When you sense emotions early, your brain runs simulations. If I say this, they might feel that. If I show this, it could shift the mood. This is cognitive empathy at work. But here's the catch. The same system that helps you understand others can suppress spontaneous self-expression. Think of it like a sound mixing board. Most people speak first, adjust later. You adjust before the sound ever comes out. So your emotions stay internally processed, but not externally mirrored. And the brain needs mirroring to feel connection. Neuroscience shows that emotional resonance, feeling understood, activates reward circuits tied to belonging. If you constantly regulate before expression, those circuits don't fully activate. The result? You're socially connected, but emotionally under-received. That's the mechanism. But knowing this doesn't automatically change it. So what does? Practical framework. Not solutions, but recalibrations. Number 1, delay emotional editing. What to do, pause less before sharing mild, real reactions. Why it works, the brain learns safety through exposure. Letting small, unfiltered emotions out retrains your nervous system to tolerate being seen. Example, instead of saying, it's fine, try, I actually felt a little overlooked there. Not dramatic, just real. Number 2, name, don't soften, what to do. Label emotions clearly without cushioning them. Why it works. Affect labeling reduces limbic activation while preserving authenticity. It calms the brain after expression, not before. Example, I felt disappointed. Not, maybe I'm just sensitive. Number 3, allow mild social friction. What to do. Resist smoothing every emotional ripple. Why it works. Belonging isn't built through harmony alone. It's built through repair after tension. Avoiding friction deprives the brain of evidence that connection can survive honesty. Example: let a conversation feel awkward for 5 seconds, instead of rescuing it. Number 4, seek emotional reciprocity, not depth everywhere. What to do. Choose fewer relationships, but require mutual emotional effort. Why it works. Your brain associates connection with energy output. Reciprocity resets that equation. Example: one friend who asks how you are and waits for the answer is worth 10 polite listeners. Number 5, translate less, experience more. What to do. Notice when you're explaining others instead of feeling yourself. Why it works. Overmentalizing dampens emotional presence. Presence, not understanding, creates closeness. Example: instead of thinking, they're stressed, that's why they snapped. Ask, how did that land in me? Each step does one thing. It shifts connection from prediction to participation. And that leads us to the larger picture. Integration. Imagine connection as a bridge. Most people build it outward, talking, reacting, expressing freely. You build it inward, observing, adjusting, regulating. Both matter. But a bridge built only from one side never fully reaches the other. The goal isn't to lose emotional intelligence. It's to balance it with emotional risk, not oversharing, not intensity, just presence without pre-editing. When your inner world starts touching the outside world, even imperfectly, the brain finally registers connection, not as effort, but as experience. Quiet, empowering, close. Your loneliness was never a sign of deficiency. It was a signal of depth without reflection. You learned to understand others early. Now you're learning to let yourself be understood, slowly, gently, without abandoning who you are. You don't need to become louder or simpler or less aware. You just need to let some of that awareness include you. And when that happens, loneliness doesn't vanish, it softens. Because for the first time, you're no longer standing outside your own emotional life.